Lauren, thanks very much. And now to those large demonstrations in Minnesota after an African-American man was shot and killed by a police officer this week. It happened in the town of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. That's about 10 miles north and west of Minneapolis, where, by the way, the trial of the police officer charged with killing George Floyd last year will continue today. Prosecution expected to rest today. On Sunday afternoon, a man named Daunte Wright was stopped by a Brooklyn Center police officer. Police have identified the officer who then fired a shot, killing him, as Kim Potter. She'd been with that police department for 26 years. She's now on administrative leave. WMRH News' Megan Knight is following the situation there in Minnesota and has new details. Megan.
Well, Christian, despite that curfew enacted by the governor of Minnesota from dusk until dawn, hundreds of people took to the streets of Brooklyn Center last night to protest the death of Daunte Wright. And we've got some new video from overnight of those protests. Now, it looks like it started outside of the Brooklyn Center Police Department. Lots of people there chanting, some throwing things at the building and also at police officers. Officers using gas canisters and flashbang grenades to try to break up those crowds. Now, the ABC affiliate out in Minneapolis is reporting this morning that officers so far made about 40 arrests since last night. And as you can imagine, the tensions are very high here, as just a few miles away, the trial of the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd is now underway. And now we have the death of an unarmed black man shot and killed by a police officer. Former Maryland State Trooper Officer Neil Franklin spoke to CNN last night, saying that he does not think that the shooting of Daunte Wright was accidental, despite what the Brooklyn Center police chief was calling it. And he says it is time for quick reform to one particular law enforcement policy.
What we need is a national use of force standard. You know, we need to look at Graham versus Connor, which is the case law behind police use of force. And we need to change that standard to a reasonable, objective view, not one that is subjective as it is now.
Now, at one point during this protest last night, the mayor of Brooklyn Center was out on the streets with police officers. He called the shooting death of Wright, quote, deeply tragic, also going on to say that he believes that the officer who shot and killed him, who's now been identified as Officer Kim Potter, should be fired from her job. Right now, she's on administrative leave. Christian?